Today, a landmark decision involving no-fly lists. Today, a federal judge ruled the list is unconstitutional because it denies those on it any meaningful chance to appeal. 13 Muslim Americans filed suit to change their no-fly status. 4 of them are military vets of the United States. Joining us to talk about this is Lamis Deek, attorney and board member with the Council on American Islamic Relations. Lamis, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
What does this decision really mean?
Well, it means many things to many people, but certainly to all Americans. The court's ruling specifically the importance of the right to travel, not in and of itself, but to travel by air as being a fundamental right that implicates the due process rights of all Americans is very critical. And this then opened the door for the judge to then say, or to make a very strong, powerful condemnation of the practices and the procedures available to victims of this very arbitrary no-fly and watch lists even, a condemnation of those processes which found them, and I quote, wholly ineffective by the court. So this will go a very long way, I think, in deterring officers or those involved in placing people on those lists from making arbitrary or decisions that are not reviewable.
Right, it goes far, but does it go far enough?
Certainly not far enough, but I think that it has been a slow but steady progress.
Why doesn't it go far enough?
Well, the government has relied on a lot of, I would say, judicial bullying and using the pretext, unquestioned, of national security. And this deference, judicial deference to the term, not necessarily always meaningful, of security, is slowly waning. And I think that's a powerful move.
So how does a military vet, a Muslim American military vet, get off the no-fly list?
Well, that's what the court addressed. The process is so murky and so burdensome, and the burden is placed on the victims, the people who are put on these no-fly lists. There's no transparency. There is no clear system, which is why the court found that it was, in fact, wholly ineffective. So one must first apply for the trip redress and is then given no information, is forced to be in the courts. The last case before this, 8 years it took a woman, Rahina Ibrahim, to be removed from the no-fly list when she was put there accidentally. So one can only imagine what the other cases are like.
So how does the country go about improving the system?
Well, the most important step is first to allow for transparency. The Department of Justice needs to step in and take ownership of the processes that go into placing people on this list. If we're not going to provide individual notice, then general notice to the greater American public about what happens or what one should avoid so as to not be placed on the system. That's a crucial first step.
You can understand why people might be skeptical, given the fact that you say it took so many years to get to this point, and the court made a ruling that, as you also say, is positive in your view, but it doesn't resolve the matter, and it doesn't really provide necessarily a solution for those people who are on that list, does it?
No, not at all. We do think it's a small and important first step, but it's nowhere near what is needed to undo a lot of injustices, not only of those suffered by people on the no-fly list who've been put in a perpetual purgatory, really. It's the effective detention or deportation of U.S. citizens, essentially, but people also on the watch list. So it's not sufficient. We are hopeful that this will be the beginning of a new trend, at least in the courts. We'd like to see more from the Department of Justice. We'd like some transparency about the procedures and notice about what when one is being put onto these lists.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. We'll have you back to talk about it a little more. Lamis, it's good to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you.